All right, good day, everyone. I have a new hat, by the way. What do you think of that? I actually just picked it up in a little shop just down the road in Lyme Regis. I've been to many times before. It's great fun to go there. Anyway, we were about to head for home. We came down to Lyme Regis. I was hoping to go out and do a bit of digging, but the tides just aren't quite right, and we haven't got enough time to wait for them. I was hoping to go into a couple of fossil shops. In particular, there's one fossil shop which is spectacular. It's got some brilliant stuff, but it was closed, and I tried calling and I couldn't get through, so never mind. I did pop into one small fossil shop. That's where I picked up these bits just here. Some nice geological maps. In particular, this one is a copy of William Smith's geological map, the first geological map really ever made, and another standard one and some other nice, interesting bits. And then I actually went to a bookshop. It's a bookshop that I've been to before, and we actually got our family Bible from that bookshop. When me and Sarah Ann got married, we wanted to have a signed Bible, and that's where we actually got it from, an old High Victorian Bible. So that was nice. Picked up a few interesting books. What have we got here? We've got the Introduction to Ecological Biochemistry. That's nice. The Paleontology and Stratigraphy of the Lower Part of the Upper Kimmeridge Clay in Dorset. We've got the Proceedings of the Geologists Association from 1996. That's nice and interesting. But I've got one particular book which I was really pleased to have found. You can see it here. It's Paley's Natural Theology Illustrated. Now, William Paley was a philosopher and an apologist, and he wrote this book in order to sort of prove that not only there was a God, but also that God created. And he wanted to show how studying science, back then natural theology or natural philosophy was regarded as the sciences. He wanted to show how science and natural philosophy, how science actually fit together beautifully. It was very influential. Charles Darwin later on saw this book as a sort of his big nemesis. He had to go and try and prove it otherwise, that you could have natural philosophy without natural theology. But this was a really influential book, a really influential apologetics book as well, and it even was still in the curriculum all the way through the Victorian times in places like Cambridge and Oxford. Now, this is actually a later edition with study notes by two other people. William Paley, this was his last book that he ever published, and he published it in the very early 1800s. This edition is from 1836, so I'm really pleased to have found a really nice edition. But let's have a little read of the first ever chapter here, see what his argument is. Natural Theology, Chapter 1, The State of the Argument. In crossing a heath, supposed I pitched my foot against a stone and were asked how that stone came to be there. I might possibly answer that, for anything I knew to the contrary, it had lain there forever. Nor would it perhaps be easy to show the absurdity of this answer. But suppose I had found a watch on the ground, and it should be inquired how the watch happened to be in that place. I should hardly think of the answer which I had before given, that for anything I knew the watch had been there, and had always been there. Yet why should this answer not serve for the watch as well as for the stone? Why is it not as admissible in the second case as in the first? For this reason and no other, that when we come to expect the watch, we perceive what we could not discover in the stone, that its several parts are framed and put together for a purpose, e.g., that they are so formed and adjusted as to produce motion, and that motion so regulated as to point out the hour of that day, that if the different parts had been differently shaped from what they are, and of different size from what they are, or placed in any other manner, or in any other order than in which they are placed, either no motion at all would have been carried on the machine, or none which would have answered the use that is now served by it. To reckon up a few of the plainest of these parts and all their officers, all tending to one result. He goes on to describe the watch and make the very, very important point that if you're looking for evidence of something being created in the world around you, when you're studying the world around you and you're looking for evidence of something being created, you need to look for something that has been designed. And this is something we talk a lot about at creation research, this whole bit of evidence for design. What is a design? if an object has got properties that do not come from the materials that it's made of, then that object has been designed. In the case of the watch, it has properties, i.e. it tells the time, and William Paley goes into great detail to talk about how it, tells the time. It has properties, telling time properties that do not come from the materials that it's made up of, not even the individual parts, which are also designed. It's even more complicated than that. Therefore, the watch has been designed, whereas a stone lying on the ground hasn't been designed. It's just lying on the ground. It can be formed by natural processes. And William Paley makes the still very valid point that if you want to translate that watch into something like a living being, like a human being or life or plants, there is overwhelming evidence for design and no doubt about it at all. So this is a rather lovely little addition to our library collection at the museum collection at Creation Research UK. Really pleased about getting hold of that. Now, if you look at the title of this video, you'll notice one other name mentioned. We've dealt with William Paley. Who's the other person? Mary Anning. Mary Anning lived in Lyme Regis. In fact, she lived just over there. There's now a museum on the site of her old house. She was a very poor person. She had to really sort of help raise money for the family after her father passed away. She'd go down collecting little curiosities on the shore, what we now call fossils, and sell them. In fact, she was the first person to discover the ichthyosaur. Remember the little vertebrae that we found yesterday, the little backbones? The large swimming dinosaur-like creature, the large marine reptile? She was the first one to actually discover this and sold the first one to Richard Owen. And then she sold others to Richard Owen, who then went on to found the Natural History Museum. She sold some to Hawkins, Thomas Hawkins, and they went into his private collection. He published a book called The Book of Great Sea Dragons. Yes, you see, before the word dinosaur was invented in 1841, everybody referred to these great beasts as dragons. To them, they were the great dragons of the old. They were the same dragons that are mentioned in Scripture. They're the same dragons that used to be alive, the ones that are now regarded as mythology. And it wasn't until Darwin's theory of evolution was accepted that dragons moved into the period of mythology. Now, you've got records of people like William Fox, William Buckland, Richard Owen, and Mary Anning all discussing together the great dragons of the old and going and helping dig these things up. Now, Mary Anning was also a devout Christian, and as far as we can see from her work, even though she was sort of accepted partially by her sort of male peers, and she was certainly respected by them, she never went along with Darwin's theory of evolution or the idea of millions of years. She believed in the Bible from the very beginning. And it's wonderful when you come down here and you see all of this scenery all around us, you go walking down, you can really get hands-on with all of the evidence for yourself. Now, we are running out of time. We need to get headed for home soon, and I'll hopefully catch you later, but I want to share one last exciting thing with you. One last very exciting thing. This morning, I have been down to a large campsite with some great facilities, and we have booked and we are able to hold our first ever Creation Research UK fossil hunting retreat here in the UK, down here on the beautiful Jurassic Coast. So you will be able to come down and join us for a whole week of fossil hunting. We're going to have some seminars, we'll have devotions, we'll have teaching, we'll have people like John Mackay. If he can't be here in person, he'll certainly be Skyping in live to answer questions and do presentations. We're going to try and get some other speakers from some other organisations here as well. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful time. Watch this space. More details coming very, very soon. Goodbye, everybody. God bless. Pray for me that we have a safe journey as we travel, and I will catch you a little bit later and hopefully get a video out this evening, but who knows what time I'm going to get home. But goodbye. God bless. We'll catch you later.